it's time to feed the horses. We have 4 horses and a standard sized donkey. I guess we got 3 horses and a pony. We live on about 20 acres, but we only have about 6 acres or so as pasture, mainly for the horses. We also have 2 mini donkeys that are kind of in a side pasture. They're in our goat enclosure, and they're actually a friend of ours who started a company to use, I guess, mini donkeys in weddings. So she's actually boarding her donkeys here, which is kind of cool. So we don't have a lot of pasture, so we have to feed hay most of the year. We have a hay hut that saves most of the hay. It keeps hay waste down. We also put a net over our hay at certain times of the year. So most of the time our horses and donkeys have constant access to hay. We also have grass pasture, but we're really working on trying to improve our grass pasture. Our back pasture was actually partially wooded, and we took out a lot of those trees over the last couple years, and we're turning it into grass. In a minute, you're going to see some of our horses are going to be turning this corner. My wife made a track system, which basically goes on the outside of our pasture, which is about 2 acres in the back, and the horses have to walk up from where their water and their horse shelter is. They have to walk all the way up, and then they have to access the hay by walking down. There's Corn Dog. Here's Dakota. This is Rowan's pony. Here's Izzy, one of Amy's horses. In another minute or two, we're going to see Wyatt the donkey. And Wyatt the donkey is very different from the horses. He's much more affectionate. The horses are very affectionate as well, but he is super affectionate. He loves to get hugs. He loves to get petted, but he's sometimes a stinker. He's broken some of our fence boards on our wooden fence, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Here he comes. Wyatt, the super donkey. Hey, buddy. There's Wyatt, our country zebra. He is really cool to be around, and Rowan, actually, our daughter, is able to ride him a little bit on a lead line. Our last horse, Prophet, is a little bit older, and he takes the track system, but sometimes he's a little lazy, so I'm going to let him in. But the track system is a great way to give your horses exercise on a small property. It's a 1/4 mile to go around our track system, so every trip they have to go up a hill, down another hill to get to the hay, and then if they want water they have to go back up that same hill and come back down that hill. So they have about a 1/2 mile trip to get the water and then to get their food, and that gives them great exercise. Lots of horses on a pasture aren't getting that exercise. Again, I'm not a horse expert, my wife is, but I thought I'd talk a little bit about it because it's pretty cool. I really want to show you what Wyatt the donkey has done. It's not that big of a deal, but he was a stinker and he broke some of our fence boards. But first I'm going to let Prophet in because he's not walking the track, which is fine, and I got a lot of stuff to do, so I'm going to let him in. There's Wyatt. And bye-bye, Wyatt. Where you going, buddy? You're a pretty beautiful animal, though. So we actually traded Wyatt. Well, we traded our fainting goats for Wyatt the donkey. We did enjoy the goats, but not as much as we enjoy Wyatt. And he keeps moving, so I gotta move the camera. I think we learned that donkeys just weren't for us. Or not donkeys. Goats were not for us. We got goats as a gift, and they were fainting goats, a really interesting heritage breed. Maybe in the future we'll get goats again, but I don't see that happening in the near future. We have full-time jobs, and it's hard to, I guess, dedicate your time to milking goats, which fainting goats aren't really milking goats. But I think if we got goats again, we might get milking goats, but I think that would be a different time in my life. Wyatt just really fits in with the horses, something we're already doing, and my wife is a horse trainer, so it just kind of fits in better, and he can be a companion animal to our horses. If we take 3 of the horses on a weekend trip or something like that, then the other horse has Wyatt to keep them company. Something I've learned from my wife is that you really don't want to have just one horse. You want to have at least 2 horses. They're herd animals. They like to be together. So let's go ahead and check out the damage that Wyatt has done. It really isn't a big deal. So here's the board that Wyatt the donkey busted. Right here. It's really not that big of a deal. Luckily I have some spare fence boards that I can put up. And these are old too. These are probably, I don't know, 10, 15-year-old boards. So he finds the old ones, and then what he basically does is he puts his head underneath and he lifts up. So it's just a pain, and luckily all of our board fence is not on the outside of the property. This is just splitting the dry lot from the back pasture. So if he were to break some boards, he's not getting off our property. He's still self-contained within a fence, and sometimes a fence within a fence within a fence. It's just a pain in the butt, mainly for me. I really do enjoy Wyatt. He's a really cool addition to our farm, but he's definitely different than horses. He likes to test the weak spots for the fence, and he found it. So I'm gonna fix this. I gotta work in my garden today. I got to bush hog the back of the pasture. It's pretty weedy right now, so I'm gonna try to bush hog before the seed sets, so that hopefully we won't have as many weeds next year in the back pasture. So hopefully you enjoyed our video. Keep on homesteading. If you have horses on a small pasture or a small property, I'd love to know what you do. If you got a curious donkey, let us know what kind of troubles that donkey's caused you. He's great, but he's definitely sometimes a little bit of a stinker. So keep on homesteading.